City podcast.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, another episode of Keys to the City. I'm your host, Trevor Keys, alongside the Joseph Garner. And Ted had to go somewhere, but he's coming right back as I see him on the camera. And there is the Ted Keys.
Sorry, bro. I was
okay.
looking for my.
Hey, that's the great thing about StreamYard. You don't have to add yourself automatically in. You can put them in whenever they come back. That's a beautiful
I was looking
thing.
for my phone.
You're looking for your phone? Do you have your phone now?
No, of course not, because I wanted to share it to the Giants pages. So what else is new?
Unprepared. Well, speaking of looking for something, we're going to be talking about, last week we talked about the wild AFC West. Now we're going to move over to where we live, the East Coast. Ted's gone again. The East Coast, as there are lots of question marks surrounding the East Coast teams, maybe not named the Buffalo Bills. And yes, we are going to be talking about, I put out an article the other day about two Alabama quarterbacks who faced, some major pressure this year. Jalen Hurts and Tua Tagovailoa. We'll talk about which one faces the more pressure. But we're going to talk about two teams right now. Well, if you see right behind me, which one? Right here. Yeah, I know. It seems so long ago that those days of the New York Football Giants winning Super Bowls, it seems like an eternity. And the team that they actually played in the Super Bowl is who we're going to be talking about also, the New England Patriots, because right now, all we've been hearing, guys, are reports that both offenses are anemic, awful, putrid, laughable, and they have major question marks as they go into tomorrow's first preseason game on NFL Network at 7 o'clock. The New England Patriots take on the New York Giants. So, guys, I know we are Giant fans, and we've been experiencing this, lackluster franchise, this laughable franchise that it's been. I hate to say it. There's no better team to me, bigger fan than me, than the New York Giants. But let's be honest, guys. This franchise has been a complete laughingstock for the past 10 years. It hasn't been good. It hasn't been competitive. I was looking the other day. Every team since, I believe, 2012 has won the NFC East, not named the New York Giants. The Commanders, Redskins won it multiple times. The Eagles have won it. The Cowboys have won it. Where are the New York Giants? Boy, oh boy. Let's hope that this year is a different new regime under Brian Daboll. But let me ask you, Joe, I'm going to start with you. Which offensive issues to you, and I know you're a big Mac Jones fan. You've been an advocate since his days at Bama. You've loved him, and we were kind of we were going after you. But you've been an advocate, a huge supporter of Mac Jones. Who do you think, going into tomorrow's games, the game offensive issues are more concerning? Is it the New York Giants, or is it the New England Patriots?
From a realistic standpoint, it should be the Patriots, but I do think it's the Giants. And why I say it about the Patriots is, if you look at the New England Patriots, their roster is pretty underwhelming. You take away a Devontae Parker, a Damian Harris, and a Mac Jones, and you got a lot of nobodies on this team. Hunter Henry, a guy that, Janu Smith, but these aren't superstars. That draft pick, their first round pick, Cole Strange, it was a strange pick.
Literally, no point intended on that one.
Right? So Bill Belichick always seems to have a plan, and he always seems to know a little bit better. But Mac Jones, the pressure, I don't think there's mounting pressure on this guy. I don't, because listen, everything is built in right now. The Bills are the team to beat in that division.
Yeah, that's guaranteed.
Miami may or may not be a really good team or a pretty good team, or we don't know yet. It's all going to really come down. Well, obviously, we'll get to that in the whole Tua thing, but I think if you're Mac Jones here in year 2, you're looking to make an improvement on last year. I don't think you're not in the same shoes as Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley, who are literally playing this season so that they have jobs next season. So from that standpoint, this Giants offensive line, we've already seen a couple of injuries. The kid that got from Carolina,
North Carolina, he's out for the year.
Matt Gonzo, who they picked
up
from
the Falcons. He's done forever.
So you were trying to add depth to this thing, and instantaneously you lost a lot of that depth. And as a matter of fact, the kid from Carolina got moved over to the tackle position. They were looking to swing him to both sides between Neal and Thomas. And again, you're back to not having any depth. They went out. I think they brought Will Holden in,
Yes,
who's a solid guy. But again, it's like having Cam Fleming the last few years. Great for depth on the roster. And then Teddy, you put him in the game, and it's like, oh, God, why is Cam Fleming on this team? And I have a bad feeling the Giants may run into depth issues on that line, and I don't know that. Again, it's so much to play for. If that becomes a problem, Saquon can't hit holes, Jones gets too pressured, the things mount quickly, and it changes the Giants franchise going forward. I think Mac Jones could have an off year, and they'll bounce back next year and go back to the drawing board. So it's equally concerning, but in different ways.
Joe, I would say the only thing about the whole Patriots thing, they've never been known to have superstars. And I know that, yes, well, what do you mean? They won 6 Super Bowls. But they all, with the exception of that 2007 team, if we remember the 2007 team with Randy Moss, they had Wes Welker, they had the greatest offense, that we ever saw up to date. Was it because of just having Tom Brady as filling all those missing pieces, those superstar talents? Because this team has never been known as a franchise that have the big name guys. It's just never been like that. It's always been Brady, and then he just made everybody that much better.
I would say the talent that they had was pretty good. I mean,
I'm not saying
Troy Brown, David Patton.
No, I know that, but
they had.
Let's be honest,
Aaron Hernandez and Gronk. They've always had good tight ends,
but never superstars.
Ben Coates days. It doesn't have to be superstars. They've had always better players.
A lot of these guys turn into a guy like Logan Mankins, who became a Pro Bowl guard. I'm saying you see a lot of that where they're not stars, but these guys make
Amendola, Wes Welk. I mean, they've had better players. Because while Joe was talking, I wanted to make Joe's right. The Patriots depth chart, and I totally forgot Devontae Parker, but
yeah, they traded for him.
Here's the thing, Trev. You and me, we're I don't know what's the word is, egomaniacs, but we feel like we know everything about football, and not everything, but we like. When I was thinking about the Patriots before, when you told me what we're going to talk about, I'm like, wow, they might be the only team that I don't know their personnel. And when I say that, I don't really know their starters. I know Hunter Henry. I know Jonnu Smith. I forgot, but I do remember Devontae Parker that they traded for Miami. But I don't know anyone else.
Jacoby Myers.
I know them because I pulled it up. I got in front of me the depth chart. Devontae Parker, Kendrick Bourne, Jacoby Myers, Hunter Henry. They drafted the kid out of Baylor, Tyquan Thornton, the kid that ran like the 4.22. They thought was the record, but it's like, whatever. It doesn't matter. Nelson Aguilar, but no one screams, oh my God, I'm going to help. I'm going to help a young quarterback, because what we've seen in the last few years in the NFL is we have young quarterbacks. We're going to get someone like, we're going to go get an A.J. Brown. We're going to draft a guy like Jamar Chase. We're going to go get, like the Bengals, we just
Tua, going to get Tyreek Hill.
We're going to get Rashawn Slater. We're going to get Corey Linsley, a Pro Bowl center. We're going to shore up our offensive line so he can protect. We're going to go get this guy and that guy. The Patriots, they haven't done that. I was listening to Colin, that's one of our favorite guys, and he's talking about, and Nick Wright is also talking. They spend 50% more money on their tight ends and personnel than anyone else in the league. The only problem is, who is their personnel? So let's refrain. Let's bring this all back to the question. Which offense issues are more concerning? For me, it's the Patriots. The reason why I say the Patriots and not the Giants is, as much as the Giants are starting a new system and bringing in a new coordinator and quarterback coach, you got to have the personnel first, right? You got to have you can't make Flaming Young out of chop liver. You got to have personnel. As much as we would say, hey, I like Mac Jones more than Daniel, I like Saquon, I like Galladay, I like Kadarius Toney, I like Sterling Shepard, I like Darius Slay, and I like Wan'Dale Robinson. I like my personnel. I got all the pieces to make the perfect recipe, and I know I always relate this to food, but I got all the pieces to make a beautiful dinner. Yeah. What I'm playing with Mac Jones is I got scraps. I got a defensive coordinator and Matt Patricia, who was a failed head coach, running the plays. I got Joe Judge.
Do we have to bring up Joe Judge? I think we know what he's famous for. I think we know who he's famous for.
I mean, we know this because we brought in Jason Garrett, that thing, and we realized Jason Garrett really wasn't the issue. It was maybe Joe Judge. And the more concerning issues is the Patriots. Okay, the Giants have the personnel. Joe is right though. There is more pressure on the Giants though. in their stars because Saquon's playing in his last year's contract. Daniel Jones might as well be playing for his career right now because he's going to be a journeyman and might be out of the league. That's how it go. So and I wanted to be up in front, and I'm like, but here's the other thing. I look at the Giants' schedule too. It's the Titans, the Panthers, the Cowboys, the Bears in the first 4 games. The Giants have a good likelihood to go 2-2. That if everything goes right. Then I look at the Patriots. I'm like, first game of the season down in Miami. All right. Well, what did Miami do for their quarterback this year? I don't know. Get everyone that they could to help their young quarterback out. Following week, Steelers. I know people are down on the Steelers. It's still the Steelers. They're going to have a really great defense.
Are they in Pittsburgh or is it New England?
And here's the thing,
Are they
Jeff.
in Pittsburgh?
Think about the Steelers, right? I know we complain about their quarterback and Trubisky. They have more talent on the offensive side than the Patriots, right? Then they got the Ravens. Then they got the Packers. You're looking at the Patriots going 1-4 in the first 5 games. They have a really tough schedule. I also look at that conference and say the Patriots in the AFC are much tougher than the NFC. If you were ranking teams, you would put on the top 10 teams in the AFC before. You know what I mean? So the competition is going to be tougher. I think the Patriots are in for a really, really poor year this year. I do not have them going to the playoffs. And everything that you think about what is to be successful in the NFL is young quarterback, a lot of talent, good talent. And I think it's just concerning. And everything you've read about is there's just mishaps, there's dysfunction. Like Mac Jones is in the second year. Like everything should be full. Nothing is working. I understand defense is ahead of the game in the season. Offense takes time because it takes practice.
He's choppy. I had to cut him off because he's choppy. Your internet's going down over there. I don't know what's happening over in the East Coast. I guess you're having question marks yourself. Maybe you should move over and put it into a better spot. I'll put you off for a hold for a sec. But you both had the Patriots going as the team that has more concern. I would not be shocked to have a better. I mean, Stevie, you might be onto something. That's why I'm actually going to go with the New York Giants. I'm actually going to go with the New York Giants because of the fact that, look, I know somehow, some way, the Patriots always find a way to manage to get to 500 or somehow get to the playoffs. And I don't think we didn't. A lot of people didn't believe that the Patriots would get to the playoffs last year, and they did. My only question mark is, what the hell are they going to do with this whole offensive coordinator situation? Are we really going to see Matt Patricia, a former defensive coordinator, be the offensive guy, or we're going to see a guy in Joe Judge who was made the New York Giants the national laughingstock of the National Football League back not too long ago? It was only 7 months ago where the New York Giants were getting laughed at by a guy named Joe Judge because of the just awful play calling. Belichick, I think their biggest mistake is maybe Belichick has ran past his time, and they probably should have had the guy that just went to Las Vegas as the new head coach, and that's Josh McDaniels. That was long in waiting. I don't know why they never made the move, but it's Belichick. He's not going to go anywhere. My thing is the New York Giants, and it all comes down to, it comes down to Daniel Jones. I know everybody's going to be like, oh, it's only training camp. Okay, it's only training camp, but this is also year 4 going in. This is not supposed to be happening still. The same miscommunication, the same mishap.
Yeah, but it's a complicated offense.
Okay, I get that. But if you're that damn good, like if you're that good, if you're a quarterback that everybody says, if you're all we ever hear from Daniel Jones, oh, he's a hard worker and he's the smartest guy in the world. Okay, then where is that smart brain of his? Like, if you're smart, make the right decisions. You have the talent. Like, hold on, Ted. You have the talent. You got Saquon Barkley, one of the best backs when healthy. We already know that. You have Kadarius Toney, who's an electrifying player. Wan'Dale Robinson looks like he could be an electrifying player in this league. Kenny Golladay, when healthy, is a big play red zone threat. You have options. Sterling Shepard, one of the better slot receivers in the game when healthy. I know I'll keep saying when healthy. They got an offensive line that's improved now with Evan Neal. They got Andrew Thomas, who was on all pro caliber last year. They added the interior with Gilkowski from the Colts. They've added depth. They've added help on that offensive line. When I still see Daniel Jones not making decisions, I'm not talking about the throw that everybody's been talking about, him throwing out of bounds to Kenny Golladay, which was a smart decision, because if he does throw that to Kenny Golladay, I don't know if you guys know what throw I'm talking about, but it's the one throw that everybody seems to be saying, what the hell is he doing? That would have been a pick 6 for anybody that wants to be the smart people out there. And I know Colin Cowherd was ripping him for that. That's just not a good throw. No, that's actually the smart decision because it would have been a pick. But he's still making bad decisions. He's still eyeing his receivers, staring down his receivers. You're not supposed to be doing that. You have to be getting better. You have to be improving significantly. And Daniel Jones is still just at that, I don't know, range. Like, what is Daniel Jones? All we hear, oh, he's one of the better dual threat game quarterbacks in the league. I get that. Oh, he's smart. He's a hard worker. Okay.
I've actually heard Tyrod Taylor's actually looked better in practice.
Then exactly. Like, that's my point. Then a veteran.
Tyrod Taylor is a veteran.
Well, hold on. Tyrod Taylor is a veteran. He's a consistent veteran. He's just had some really, really unfortunate luck in the past couple of years. But when a guy that's been playing for that long is out playing the guy that we all think, oh, that he's supposed to be a franchise quarterback, I'm sorry, but that's concerning for me to see Daniel Jones still having major issues that rookie quarterbacks I get would have. We're going into a year that this is it for him. He struggles, he's going to be a perennial backup for the rest of his career. He'll never get another starting job. No, if Sam Darnold could get, no. That's why they had to go get Baker Mayfield. It's not much of an upgrade, but that's why Sam Darnold's career is most likely going to be a backup for the rest of his career as an NFL quarterback. That's, to me, the Patriots, yes, they got the issues. My biggest issue with them is just what they're going to do with that offensive coordinator's position. Are they going to really give it to Patricia or Joe Judge, two guys that are incompetent at times?
I'll tell you right now, I 100% believe Joe Judge is the offensive coordinator of the Patriots. And I think Bill's done him a solid by not announcing that, because as poorly as things went in New York, to say that this guy's going to help you groom Mac Jones, I just don't. I mean, from the get-go, I've thought to myself, Joe Judge is the offensive coordinator, and he's at some point mid-season, he'll probably just allude to Joe Judge as their offensive coordinator. He's never going to announce it, but I think that was very much just to protect Joe Judge.
Yeah. I mean, all we've been hearing from these two teams in the report is that the defenses have been delivering. Well, the Patriots defense was one of the best in the game last year. I expect the Giants to be vastly improved with Kayvon Thibodeau, Leonard Williams, Easy Aluzere. You got Xavier McKinney. You're getting Blake Martinez back eventually. You're going to get those pieces back. The defense will be fine. To me, it's the offense. This is an offensive league. And with the Giants, the way that it finished last year for the New York Giants last season, if we all remember, and I know Daniel Jones wasn't the quarterback, but guess what, Daniel Jones? If you struggle, the Giants don't have a guy like Colt McCoy or Mike Glennon. Sorry, Joe. But they have a guy in Tyrod Taylor who has been a consistent pro, has been to the Pro Bowl, has been to the playoffs with the Buffalo Bills. So he's been there before. If you struggle out the gate, Daniel Jones could be done within the first month and a half. I'm just saying, guys. That's my biggest thing. I'm a Giant fan. I love the New York Giants. I want Daniel Jones to succeed because if he succeeds, the New York Giants could go a long way this season. If he struggles again, it's just going to be another long and awful and putrid season for us Giant fans. That's my feeling.
And then you're kind of hitting the rebuild again because you're going to go have to draft a quarterback or go sign a quarterback, but who's going to want to come here? So
yeah,
this is like you said. Listen, Daniel Jones, I still think has the talent and the abilities to be successful. He's completely out of time, Trev. And I said the other night on John about the G-Men, I won't be surprised if Tyrod Taylor starts a minimum of 5 games and not necessarily due to injury. Tyrod Taylor, look, if this defense is good. To me,
Joe, Daniel Jones' career as a New York Giant quarterback is over. That's what it tells me.
Listen, if this defense is as good as we think it can be, and I think there's still a lot of question marks on, especially in the secondary, but if this defense is as good, if Wink Martindale pulls off some amazing stuff and Thibodeau's a monster on that edge with old, then I tell you right now, if Daniel Jones does not deliver, it will be easy to put Daniel Jones on the bench because, like you said, it's not Mike Glennon, it's not Colt McCoy, it's not David Carr or some rando who shouldn't be on an NFL roster, period. It's a guy like Tyrod Taylor, who last time he started a game when he was with the Chargers, won it. So, I don't know. This is a guy who's won games in the NFL. You've got a lot of great pieces on the offensive side.
Listen, Joe, I think the offense should be better than the defense. No offense.
On paper, Ted, you're 100% right.
100%.
Now, it starts from the quarterback. If the engine don't work in the car, nothing else works.
Got to get that football into the right people's hands. look, they've gone out and they've gotten the best receivers they could swing and bring in here. They wasted another draft pick this year on another slot guy just to help him out. You got Saquon, Beretta. They signed Antonio Williams from Buffalo. I mean, they put so
Evan
much
Neal,
into this
they got
offense.
the two tackle positions solidified. They brought in a couple good offensive linemen to at least help solidify the offensive line. Might not be the top 5 offensive line, but could definitely be a top 10 offensive line.
It's definitely going to be the best. It's going to be the best offensive line he's ever had. Every franchise starts. I know that we always like to talk about defense and coaches. If you get your quarterback right, there's a reason why the good teams, the great teams in this league, are always great because they got great quarterbacks.
Excuses are gone.
Yep.
If Daniel Jones does not play extremely well this year, then there's no excuses. You're not blaming Joe Judge, the offensive line, the hurt receivers, bloppity blop. Daniel Jones has everything he needs to succeed.
Yep.
He's got the talent. He's got the smarts. If he can apply all those things with what they've given him, the Giants could be a good football team here.
Absolutely.
A lot of ifs.
They can win 8 or 9 games, but it really stems from him. And hopefully this will be his best chance because, Trev, you and me have talked off the script. Seems like Saquon's the healthiest he's been since like his rookie season. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully Galladay and Tony are healthy and ready to go, which they were not. Don't forget, those guys were not ready to go. And that hurts because he never built any chemistry with them. We read, Rondell Robinson, the kid from Kentucky. He seems like, hey, listen, gadget play, get the ball in his hand five, six times, like what we thought Tony would be. Get him the ball, let him use his speed, use him on special plays. The offensive line should be much better. It's healthier. So, Joe, if anything, this is maybe his best opportunity, even though it's his 100%. Last opportunity to succeed.
Joe, I'm glad you just said that.
Real quick, Ted, for a last opportunity, they couldn't have hooked him up anymore. Like, they've done everything as a franchise they can. Like, dude, you got to do this now. Like, again, there's literally, you look around that roster, there's no excuses.
The time is ticking for you, buddy.
Didn't pick up his 5th-year option, so he knows what he's playing for.
You got to
hope for an Aaron Judge situation and not a Joe Judge situation where a guy's banking on himself and is going to put up monster numbers. I still insist Daniel Jones is going to need to throw for around 30 touchdowns. I don't see the Giants in this NFL being competitive and winning more games than they lose if this guy's not like everybody else in football and throwing about 30 touchdowns. I don't care if it's 24 in the air, 6 on the ground, fine. 30 touchdowns from Daniel Jones or he's gone. That's where I'm at with this guy. Gone.
Well, you were just saying about this is it and adding everything you can to make this guy succeed. Well, let's get over to 2 East Coast teams once again in the NFC East and in the AFC East once again as we are talking about the East Coast this week, and then we'll be talking about the AFC North and the NFC North coming up in the next show. So stay tuned for that. What are you gonna say? You have something?
No, I was gonna say to Joe's point. I think 30 touchdowns. I know you want to move on. I think 30 touchdowns is a lot. I just looked it up. Only 9.
Well, he just said no, but he just said it. If it's 24 in the year,
last year only 9 quarterbacks threw for over 30 touchdowns. I just wanted to have that checked. But like, you got to be somewhere in like the Carson Wentz, Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray. Who Carson Wentz threw for 27-7. Russell was 25-6. Probably would have thrown for 30 if he wasn't hurt. Kyler Murray was 24-10. Like Trevor's favorite player, Derek Carr, was 23-14.
My boy, don't talk about Derek Carr like that.
So
that's me and Me and Joe love Derek Carr. We're Derek Carr supporters.
I'm thinking 30.
Super Bowl MVP coming up.
If he's throwing 30 touchdowns, he's MVP, and the Giants are winning the division. I think relatively, it's 22-26 with 12. So 24.
Here's my thing. I don't really care. I just want
ratio.
I just need him to stay
4
healthy.
Russians.
Stay healthy and just seem like you're going in the right direction. If not, you're done. But you were just talking about it, Joe. This is it. Well, maybe not for Jalen Hurts, but definitely for Tua Tagovailoa. This is it. And I just put out an article on media.com, clovercrestmedia.com too. You can check it out with Tua talking about who faces more pressure. I randomly just I was doing it at work. I literally was just like, you know what? screw this. I've been wanting to do it, and I just wrote it up just like that on the spot. But these are two quarterbacks. You think about both of their stories. Tua, all the praise in the world coming out of college. Oh, he's going to be the next great thing. And Jalen Hurts kind of had to work to get to where he is currently. Tua being the 5th pick, the ultimate, well, we're going to see what if the Dolphins took Justin Herbert or Tua. We'll never know, but we will see after this season. For me, guys, you look at these two quarterbacks. I don't know if Hurts is as much pressure as Tua, but he has to be in the sense of what they did. They go add some nice pieces. Plus, if we all don't forget, this team was a playoff team. This was a team that last year was supposed to be projected to be the finish dead last in the NFC East. They made the playoffs. So there is some sort of pressure. It is Philly. But you look at Tua, I mean, what else do you have to explain for him? This is a guy that's gotten everything. You got the fastest player in the league. You go get Chase Edmonds. You go get Sony Michel. You go get the best left tackle on the market at the time in Teron Armstead. You get Cedric Wilson. You already have Jalen Waddle. Your defense was one of the top defenses in the game. And all we've been hearing about is, oh, well, the numbers. Well, I don't know how people remember, if people forget. But in two full seasons, this was also before he got injured at Alabama. He had 76 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. This was in 2 full seasons of what he played. Got hurt, like I said. 69% completion percentage in 18 and a 71% completion percentage. Now, I know everybody will be like, well, he was with Alabama. They had the greatest weapons in the world. Well, he has had some nice weapons in Miami. Let's not say that Miami hasn't had weapons. I mean, they got Jalen Waddle. They have Mike Gesicki. They had Devontae Parker. They've had pieces on that team. Kenyon Drake before. They've had pieces. My thing is when you look at all of what they did, and they go get a new offensive coordinator guru and Mike McDaniels with Stanford out of San Francisco. You look at what this guy has to do. Are you either going to excel? This is it for you, or are you going to be the guy that's going to be remembered as getting being the pick before Justin Herbert? To you guys, Ted, I'll start with you. To you, which former Bama quarterback faces more pressure this season? Is it Tua or is it Jalen Hurts?
For me, it's very obvious. It's Tua, because similar to the Daniel Jones question is, well, where did you get drafted? Tua was a first-round pick, so there's an expectation in the league that you're supposed to come right into the league and take over, which we've seen. That's what happens nowadays. These guys come in the league, and they take over the league within the first 2 or 3 years. We've seen that. I mean, Herbert, Burrow, Kyler Murray. There's probably a couple other guys I'm missing off the top of my head, but you understand where I'm going with this conversation. Jalen Hurts was what, second, third round pick, right?
Second round pick.
There was not even a thought process that he was going to be the starting quarterback, but he ended up falling into the starting rotation and actually had a fairly good season last year. Led all quarterbacks in rushing last year. What do you have? 784 yards rushing last year, 10 touchdowns. That's only been done 8 times in NFL history. Second quarterback ever to throw for 3,000 yards for the Eagles and have 750-plus rushing yards. But he had a pretty successful season last year. He led to the playoffs. But it was really his only first season under Nick Sirianni, the coach from the Colts the previous year. It's not that Hurts doesn't have pressure, right? I would say Hurts has an easier division. He has an easier conference. I think there's an expectation that the Eagles should win a division where, like Joe started the show off when we before, is Buffalo should win that division easily. Should be the number 1 seed in the AFC. That's at least where most projections are. I mean, it's the Bills for the Super Bowl, and then it's like the Rams and like one other team, and then Miami's there. But the reason why I say Tua is because everything that the Miami did this year was to find out if Tua is a quarterback. I mean, now that you hear about what happened, transpired with, they wanted Tom Brady, they wanted Sean Payton. Well, where would Tua been? What would have happened? But they brought in guys like Tyreek Hill. They made a huge trade for Tyreek Hill. They brought in Teron Armstead, the best left tackle in the game. They brought in Connor Williams, a guard/center from Dallas Cowboys. Cedric Wilson, the wide receiver from Dallas. Chase Edmonds, Raheem Mostert. They brought in Mike Daniel, the offensive coordinator from the 49ers. Everything, we were just talking about Daniel Jones. If you were trying to get everything possible for a quarterback, I mean, there might be other than Trev, the Bengals and maybe the Raiders, as you said, and maybe one other team that really not. This might be the best offense of outside sources. Mike Gesicki, tight end, Jalen Waddle, another. I mean, you got 3. I mean, this offense looks like what he used to have in Alabama.
Yeah.
All right. And there was the tank for Tua. But we always think, was it really Tua, or was it because he has best offensive line, never got hit, was throwing to 4 first-round draft pick receivers, had 2 first-round running backs behind him? Was he a product of Alabama, or what's a funny stat is I'm reading about is he actually had the best completion percentage on throws of 20+ yards down the field. The only difference is he does it this amount of times. So for me, though, it's Tua, and it's not substantial, much more than Hurts, but it's Tua because everything that they did was for Tua. And if he tanks or gets hurt, he's gone next year. Like, I could see Jalen Hurts falling just short of the playoffs, and they bring him back and still give him a realistically chance, even though they signed A.J. Brown. Miami, if Tua tanks or it's tank for Tua, he'll be gone next year. The Miami is those teams with the whole. They will move on from him now. And I mean, we already seen it.
Well, let's not forget. Let's not forget.
Sean Payton wanted to go there, so I just think everything is set up for him to possibly succeed. And if he falls flat on his face, he's gone, bro. Because I don't think there's any more better than Tua. Like, we're gonna try this again. Personally, that's how I feel. I don't know if you agree, but for me, it's Tua, first-round draft pick. Everything
let's not also forget that there's a backup quarterback for them that has been a starter in Teddy Bridgewater. So kind of like the Daniel Jones situation as well. If he struggles out the gate, they could be looking at Teddy B. What do you think?
The other thing is the health.
Hold on, Ted.
Yeah, listen.
Well, I'm just saying, Tua's.
I'll give you my thought on both. I agree with Teddy 100%. It's very much Tua, but it wouldn't surprise me if next season neither of these guys is the starting quarterback on that football team. You point out Teddy Bridgewater is behind Tua. Could very well see him again. If this defense is great for the Dolphins, and if Tua is the problem, Tua could very well find himself behind Teddy Bridgewater. But don't forget the Eagles. Gardner Minshew is their backup, and they signed Carson Strong out of Nevada, a guy who had been projected to be a first-round pick because of injury concerns, didn't get drafted at all. He's on that roster. So, look, they set Jalen Hurts up to succeed. I think they're rolling the dice. It's like, well, look, if Jalen Hurts doesn't work out, we could always go another route. They've done a nice job of building the rest of their roster with the thought that if we can make Jalen Hurts a big-time NFL quarterback, top 12, top 15, that's doable for them.
Because they have the pieces, yes.
Absolutely. If Jalen Hurts is awful this year, and I don't expect he's going to be, but if he's awful, it would be so easy for them to replace him with Minshew in the short term and Carson Strong or go elsewhere after this season. But I think, like Daniel Jones, Tua's time is up. Again, you went out, you got him Tyreek Hill, you made the upgrades, and it's like, here you go, bud. It's now or never time. But honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if both of these guys is out next year.
Well, and here's the other thing. You look at the competition in that AFC, Joe. It's stacked. It's not going anywhere. So, like, for Miami, you have to move on from Tua now while you still have the pieces where you can ride with Jalen Hurts. And Trev, what makes Jalen Hurts at least compatible is his ability to run and make plays. I mean, like I said, he led the league in rushing last year from a quarterback, 74 yards. He had 10 rushing touchdowns. That's significant. That helps the offense. Yes, he's a good passer. I think having Brown is really going to help him.
I would also say, final point about this is just look at Tua's counterparts. Look at the quarterbacks that he was drafted with. Justin Herbert is an emerging superstar. He hasn't got to the playoffs yet. I get that, but he's going to be. That team is just too talented to not make the playoffs this year. If they don't, then damn, that's on him. That's on the whole franchise then. But you look at their counterparts. Justin Herbert is a superstar, emerging superstar. He's one of maybe the odds-on favorites to win the MVP this season. That team is going to be set up perfectly for the future. And then look at the other guy, the guy that I've been talking about, glamoring about, Joey B. Joe Burrow going to the Super Bowl last year, this close from winning a Super Bowl with that offensive line, all the weapons that they've given him, and coming off of that ACL injury, those two have been delivering. All we've heard is, oh, those are sure things. We're sitting here on August 10th of 2022 saying what is Tua Tagovailoa? That's the biggest thing for me is those two guys. Those look like sure things. They're not going anywhere for a long time. We could be sitting here in about 3 months from now, and Teddy Bridgewater could be the quarterback of the Miami Dolphins, guys. That right there. Jalen Hurts, I don't see Jalen Hurts losing any competition. I don't believe Gardner Minshew will be a better option. I know you mentioned that, but Jalen Hurts is going to do his thing. They're going to set him up in a perfect situation to succeed with that backfield, with the receivers, Devontae, with Goddard, and A.J. Brown. Nice. That's a nice little trio to have in that offense. And Jalen Hurts, all he does is just kind of prove people wrong. I mean, people have doubted him when he was at Bama. People doubted him in Oklahoma. He delivered there. I know he didn't win a championship at Oklahoma, but he also had to play. I don't know if you remember. They played LSU in the college football playoff that year, and that was the year that Justin Jefferson and Joe Burrow decided to say, hey, let's just go play 7-on-7, just destroy everybody. I think it was like 63 to like 35 the game, and Joe Burrow had like 7 touchdowns in like the first half. It was ridiculous. But my thing is that everybody's been doubting Hurts, and Ted, you said it. He was a second-round pick. I mean, we all at one point were saying, oh, why did they draft him? They already have Carson Wentz. Well, now he's got his opportunity. He's proved everybody wrong. Tua, you've been the golden boy. All we've ever been hearing is, oh, tank for Tua, Ted. Tank for Tua. Let's go get him. He's going to be the next great. We're sitting here, year 3, saying, what do we make of Tua Tagovailoa? That's the thing. That's what it comes down to me. I think it's a simple question. I would say Tua. It just has to be. Daniel Jones and Tua, everything's on a silver platter, guys. Now you got to go do your part.
I'm at the point in this conversation that I would say Tua has the most pressure of any quarterback in the entire league.
I would 1,000% agree with you on that.
And what about Daniel Jones? Who cares about Daniel Jones? There's no expectations the Giants to even make the playoffs. The Giants win 7 games. Everyone's going to be like, oh, all right, we're improving. If Miami wins 7 games,
yep, you're done. Tua's gone.
It's absolutely, bro. And because you brought in a Kyle Shanahan type coach who's really quarterback savvy, and he's going to make Tua's life better, right? And you got 2 of the fastest receivers in the game. You got a Pro Bowl tight end. You got speed running backs. I mean, they can run the 4x100 relay on that team. You brought in one of the best tackles in the game in Terrence Armstead, which should definitely help him out. The offensive line should be more improved, right? There is no more excuses. This is your 3rd year. This is this is the Josh Allen 3rd year. Like, everyone makes that huge jump. Like, 3rd year, boom, man. This is where you take over. There can't be no more excuses. Now, let's hope Mike Daniels' offense helps Tua out. They got to throw the ball deeper down the field, because I think he was like 28th in the league last year with like attempts of distance of throws. Like, I think it was like Andy Dalton and like a bunch of backups that no one even cares about that had less than him. So, it's on him, bro. It's on him, the Miami offense. I mean,
yep.
And especially, here's the other thing, Trev, and I think significantly, I think it's a major part, is because of the 2 other guys that were drafted. Now, I know they couldn't get Burrow, even though they tried to move up to number 1. But Joe Burrow was in the Super Bowl, and Justin Herbert, no offense, when they ranked quarterbacks, like, he was a tier 1 quarterback. Like, he's up there with Brady and Burrow and the best guys you could think of. And maybe other than Josh Allen and Mahomes, like, Herbert's right there is where you would start your franchise with.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it comes down.
And that's significant, because they could have had Herbert.
That's what it comes down to, is that you just
I
look
know
at his
it's a what
counterparts.
if, but it is a major what if. They chose you, so at least prove them right. If not, see you later. And like Daniel Jones, or Sam Darnold, you're gonna be packing your bags and finding another place to go.
I'll say the last thing about Jalen Hurts. What a huge step up in his second season. As if you look at his numbers, he actually got really good in the second half of the season for the Eagles, and their record reflected
that's why they made the
directly.
That's why they made the
playoffs. 100%, dude. This guy doesn't do a lot of stupid things. You take out the Giants game that they lost, where he threw 3 picks.
Mm-hmm.
You don't
really
see a whole lot of that as you're looking at this
moves.
guy's stats, man. He plays clean. He plays smart. He can make plays on his feet. Teddy mentioned, how many yards he rushed for last year, 784.
Yeah.
And also put the ball in the end zone 10 times with his feet, 16 in the air, 26. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a
Got
step
to be
up.
around 30 in this league if you're going to be
Especially-
a dual threat guy.
Exactly, especially if you're a dual threat. If you could get that 30 range, having a couple rushing touchdowns too, then do that. But for guys like Tua and Daniel Jones, this is it for you. And if it doesn't work, as the great Arnold Schwarzenegger once said, "Hasta la vista, baby." Next time we'll be talking about the AFC North and the NFC North. Will Rodgers still reclaim the top throne in the NFC North, or could we see a surprise? Plus, does it run through Cincinnati and Baltimore in the AFC North? We'll talk about all that on our next episode of Keys to the City. Thank you for watching. Tune in for more episodes. Check out clovercrestmedia.com and Keys to the City on all social media platforms. We'll see you next episode. We are out.
You are now in tune to the Keys to the City podcast.